GERENetwork.com.
This is a GERE Network production.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Better Live Than Dead podcast.
Jesus Christ, John.
That's how you start the show, Ryan.
Do you want to try this again? Welcome to the Better Live Than Dead podcast. This is episode 126, entitled The Baseball-Cast. I am Ryan Wolfe at Wolfe BLTD on Twitter, joined on the line on the IndyCar Media Hotline by my esteemed co-host, Mr. Perez at MRLG Perez, and a special guest today, John Cimino at the JC Monan Twitter. How are you guys doing today?
Hi. How's it going?
What up?
It's going swell. We're here to talk some baseball. We haven't talked in a while, actually. I'm looking at the podcasts here. We did a baseball preview cast March 24th, which was 118, and we're doing a kind of Septembercast in its episode 126. So the podcast is slowly but surely churning back up, but we appreciate you guys for sticking around and tuning in. I just want to say real quick before we get started here, you can listen to us over at betterlivethandead.com, which just had a little bit of an upgrade. The previous website template kind of broke and I couldn't get it fixed, so I just changed it. It looks great. So there's that over at betterlivethandead.com. You can check us out on iTunes, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play Music. Just look up Better Live Than Dead. This podcast should pop up. And if you also want to check out Trust the Podcast or the Sabercast, which is coming soon, also make sure you subscribe to those. Now, with that being said, it is, as of recording time, September 15th. We are deep in the throes of another major league season. We have some really good races and some already decided races. So, guys, if we may just jump in head first, and I'm going to start off in the National League with the National League East. Very, very cut and dry. The Atlanta Braves, not surprising with all the young talent that they've hoarded and kind of developed and sprouted all at the same time. The Atlanta Braves are 83-64 as of recording time, 7.5 games up with an elimination number of 9 over second place Philadelphia. For me, real quick, I guess the biggest surprise here is that Washington is at 500. They've underperformed, even with some very good talent that they've had, and it looks like Atlanta's going to be representing the East in the playoffs this season.
I agree with that. I'm actually really surprised at how Washington has played this year. They've been very disappointing. I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the season they blow that team up, start to rebuild.
What almost seems like in Washington, and for me...
Sorry, Ryan, this is a phone Uber conference thing. I thought that the Nationals, I'm very surprised as well that they would have done that, especially considering all the hoopla that was surrounding the mystery teams, talking to Bryce Harper and things like that, and then they decided to keep him, which meant to me that they were going to go for it and try to build, and instead they ended up shipping a few other pieces away and kind of just sat there.
They've done nothing.
Yeah, I think for me the more surprising thing is that Washington was bad than Atlanta being good, if that puts it into perspective for the listeners here. I think that they definitely did not do a very good job of capitalizing on the window. I mean, when you look back on it, if Bryce Harper continues at the rate that he's at right now, he'll probably be a Hall of Famer. Max Scherzer will most likely be a Hall of Famer, and you've done nothing with that roster. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bryce Harper leaves, if they try to, they've got Juan Soto as well, who's fantastic. And you've got a diminished Ryan Zimmerman as well. So, they've got a lot of good talent there. It's just that they have to continue to move forward and figure out exactly what direction they want to go in. Because like I said, at this point in time, they don't really have a direction, I would have to say. So, with that being said, that one's very cut and dry, very simple, very easy. I want to move over to the National League West, because the cool thing about the rest of the National League, guys, is that the Central and the West are super tight. You've got in the West, you've got Colorado half a game over the Dodgers, and then you've got Arizona 3.5 games back. So they're still within striking distance. With being mid-September, there's still things can happen here. I would have to honestly say, I'm surprised the Dodgers haven't really run away with it because, again, they're incredibly talented. They have Manny Machado. Colorado, though, is continues to be one of those just underrated teams across the league. I mean, they have Trevor Story, they have Nolan Arenado. I mean, Trevor Story could potentially be the National League MVP this year. He's been that damn good. But, again, I don't know what the Dodgers have to do better in the West. I mean, they've been – it's almost like Washington, but on a better level.
Right. Well, keep in mind, though, the Dodgers started the season really, really terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, they couldn't do anything the first quarter of the season, almost the first half. So they've played much better the second half of the season. But if they had been playing, the first half like they had been the second half, it would probably be a completely different story.
I could see that, yeah, for sure. I mean, at this point, it's definitely the Dodgers are another. They're like I said, they're like Washington, but with a less of a magnifying glass on it. Where they have so many good players and they've gone in so many times that if they don't, it might be like, I guess the best way to put it is, remember when the Texas Rangers were very good with Josh Hamilton? They went to back-to-back World Series and they didn't win it. I think you're looking at a situation like that where you may look back and say, this team should have been a dynasty. This team should have won a handful of world championships, and they did nothing with it. Right. So I certainly think that the West will be a lot of fun. And we'll talk a little more about the West in a minute when we come to the wild card. And then in the Central is very good because it looks like it's going to be Chicago, the Cubs, or the Milwaukee Brewers, who have turned it on very hot as of late. They are 8-2 in their last 10 compared to Chicago's 5-5 in their last 10. And they also just took 2 of 3 against the Cubs, if I'm not mistaken. And looking at their team right now, I mean, they have some damn good talent. They've got the one guy, they made that trade for Christian Yelich, and that was the deal. I mean, it's batting .314 with 29 homers and 88 RBIs right now. They've got Jesus Aguilar, who's got, let me see here. He has 31 home runs and .270 average. I mean, they're getting the production they need to be a very good team. But I mean, I guess for me, I'd have to listen back to the first podcast we did about baseball. But for me, I feel like we had our well-defined, this team will win this team will win that, this team will win that. And then now you've got teams like Colorado hanging around, Milwaukee hanging around. I mean, we had Philadelphia hanging around for a while before they kind of fell back to earth. So I guess the likely winners are not so likely now, and that's kind of creating a little fun for us in the National League.
That is, because now I'm trying to sit here and I'm trying to think in between cracking jokes that you clearly no-sold me on.
You're welcome.
These teams would represent the National League, and I'm having a hard time trying to figure it out. I want to say Colorado. I think because of a lot of the things you said, kind of underrated, underlooked. Now, nobody's really thinking about that as a factor. It's just all Dodger talk, or Cubs. I'd like the Rockies. They're playing to give a strong run.
I think it'd be fun if the Brewers got there. Not going to lie.
That would be dope, yeah. Well, because, right now, like I said, we've got Atlanta, Chicago, and Colorado as the division leaders. The wild card game right now, which Milwaukee has a 4-game lead with handful of games left, it really breaks down to the Dodgers or St. Louis. Who is going to Milwaukee to play the 1-game playoff? Will it be the Dodgers or will it be the Cardinals? The Cardinals have had a resurgent season under their new – once interim, now new manager. He's been that good. They've responded that well under him that he got the gig mid-season, which is impressive. But looking at that, it's going to be, no matter what the National League produces this year, it's going to be one hell of a time because, like I said, Milwaukee's a lot of fun, and I'm pulling for him. That'd be a lot of fun to see that.
I agree with you. I think that would be a lot of fun to see it. Although I got to stick with my pick from the beginning of the year and say the Dodgers were going to make it.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah, I don't know why for some reason.
He's a closet Dodger fan.
I think it's because Magic Johnson no longer has AIDS.
Well, yeah, I guess. I still don't want to be a mosquito at his barbecue, though.
Well, no, me neither. But I'm rooting for him, so I'm rooting for the Dodgers.
You guys are terrible.
Hi, Ryan.
Hey, man, listen, it's been 27 years. 27 years ago, Magic Johnson said he had the HIV, and he's still going strong, right?
Well, that's what happens when you have a lot of money to pay for good medicine and good doctors.
That's what South Park did. South Park said he put the money into a blender and drank it. That's how he's able to stay alive.
Interesting.
True story.
You're welcome.
Looking at the American League now, you guys. The Central, that's wrapped up. Either Cleveland wins or Minnesota loses, and then the Indians will seal up the Central. They are 82-65 as of recording time, so that is what it is pretty much. Looking over at the AL West, we have a lot of fun going on there. It's between Houston and Oakland, who Oakland has had one hell of a surprising.
You see what division he's leading for last.
I know
This guy right here.
That's because when we do, you should know this by now. We've done enough podcasts where when we talk about sports, I always try to centralize it around the teams that we like. So when we talk football, we always talk Bills and Cowboys last. When we talk hockey, I always try to talk. I know you like the Penguins. You always try to talk Penguins, Sabres last. When it comes to baseball, always Red Sox, Yankees. Because you know what? I'd hate for people to be like, hey, that was really good, and then listen to us talk about the Central and be like, oh, that sucked. I'm going to turn this thing off. Just try to keep them till the end. But looking at Houston and Oakland, Houston has a 2.5 game lead over Oakland right now. That one's going to come down absolutely to the wire. Looking over at the AL, I mean, looking over at the wild card, if Oakland wins the division, Houston gets the wild card in the 1 game playoff. If Houston wins, Oakland gets the 1 game playoff. So that really is that right there. Because looking at the wild card right now, it's.
I would say as a Yankees fan, I'm probably hoping that Oakland wins.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean that would be.
Be a hell of a 1 game playoff, but man, it would be.
That would really blow a lot of things up.
Yeah.
But looking over.
Absolutely.
Just kind of because I guess we can kind of tie it in because this can be one gigantic conversation with the West and with the East. Like you said, John, the Yankees currently have a 1.5 game lead over Oakland in the wild card game. I mean, that right there is the Yankees have kind of been hot and cold, where Oakland has just been red hot for quite a while. And for me, that's really interesting because that game's going to be one hell of a game. If it's Houston, New York, that's going to be one hell of a game. I think as a Red Sox fan, you probably want to see New York and Oakland and not New York and Houston because no matter what, you're going to get a formidable opponent where Oakland may roll in. And right now, I don't know if you guys know or not, but Oakland has 3 starting pitchers. They literally have a starting rotation on their website, on their Major League Baseball website with 3 starting pitchers. So at this point, I certainly think that Oakland may not be too scary, but then again, the playoffs are a different kind of monster.
That's a true story.
He took the words right out of my mouth.
Fair enough. You guys want to talk about the American League East now?
Yeah, why don't we talk about the American League East?
Shut up, Ryan.
The Boston Red Sox have 101 wins. They are the first time since 1946, since Ted Williams was still alive, which he might still be alive technically because they cut his head off and they froze it, so who knows. But first time since 1946, the Red Sox are 5 wins away from setting a franchise record for most wins in a regular season. The Yankees are second, 91-56 at the time of recording. The crazy thing about this is that.
Wait, hold on a second, Ryan. For all you younger listeners out there, Ted Williams.
What am I holding on for?
Is different. It did not happen in a terrorist attack.
I just lost I don't know what you said. I just lost my headphones, so I got them back now. But
oh, okay, good.
What did you say?
You really don't want to hear what I said. I dropped a C-bomb.
Yeah, just moved on.
God damn it. Okay,
I'm kidding.
John.
I did not drop a bomb.
I got to put a muzzle on you, John, sometimes.
Maybe.
So looking at the East, the crazy part about the American League East is that because the Red Sox have the best record in baseball and the Yankees are in the wild card game, we could potentially be looking at Red Sox-Yankees in the ALDS, which
yes, we could.
If you thought a 7-game playoff series was intense, can you imagine trimming off 2 games and making a 5-game playoff series out of it?
That'd be great.
That would be insane.
I'd be
thrilled about it.
I would be.
Television.
It would be fantastic to watch. My thought from a Red Sox perspective, then I'll get your guys' point of view. Chris Sale has to stay healthy. I mean, they said his shoulder was doing good after the last start. They're kind of ramping him back up a la spring training in September. So if Chris Sale is healthy And the Red Sox can count on 3 solid starters, which David Price has turned back into an ace. So if you can get Chris Sale, David Price, and probably Rick Porcello, you can win playoff series with that. But the Red Sox hitting has kind of cooled off in September because they've been either very hot or very cool. They'll either win a game with scoring 10 or 12 runs or lose scoring 2 or 3 runs. And the pitching staff has been kind of tough to watch too because, like I said, Chris Sale's been out, so they've been kind of going bullpen, starting rotation by committee. And the tough part, too, is that I know you guys don't catch a ton of Red Sox games, so I'll just break it down for you real quick. The Red Sox have not yet set their bullpen for the playoffs. They don't really know who's going to pitch where. They know it's going to be – there's going to be, David Price will start and Craig Kimbrell will close. Everybody in between is to be determined. So you're seeing guys –
listen, all I know is that whatever game David Price starts, he's going to lose because he can't win in the playoffs.
Hey, look at David Price blew up against the Yankees earlier this year and gave up 8 runs in 2 innings. And I thought, for sure that was the beginning of the end for David Price because usually when he starts getting bad, he just steamrolls and becomes a gigantic snowball of losing because he just gets pissed off and just doesn't make the adjustments. But apparently this year he made the adjustments and he's fantastic again. So we'll see if he can buck that trend. But the Red Sox bullpen has been a bullpen by whatever, just throwing it together. It really shows you that Dave Dombrowski still does not know how to build a bullpen properly, but hopefully when the playoffs roll around, the Red Sox can put it all together and win a few playoff games. Now, how are you guys feeling about the Yankees lately?
You want to take this one first?
I'll take it first because we're going through the East Pass. So as far as the Yankees go, I'm very indifferent on them now because they are a Jekyll and Hyde team. One day they're completely meshing. They're scoring runs left and right. The next day, they're getting the crap kicked out of them because Sonny Gray is starting to, or coming out of relief now. Yeah, I don't know what.
Although he did start the other day and blew up. He got destroyed.
Yeah, of course he did. Because he's Sonny Gray. But anyways, so I don't know what Yankees team we're going to get in the playoffs. Truthfully, while I would like to see the Yankees how they were playing in April versus the Red Sox, how they were playing all season in a major playoff situation. Perhaps the ALDS, I'll go as far as that. I don't see the Yankees getting to the ALDS, let alone past that. So while I'm happy that they got there was definitely some learning curves with this team. And, it's a younger Yankees team, plus you add Giancarlo Stanton on there, and now you've got the stories, you've got Judge, you've got this, you've got whatever. But the bottom line is that, when at times when they desperately needed to play ball, they did not play ball, and it showed, and their weaknesses showed, and the teams like Houston is very tough with their starters. Red Sox, nobody's been able to beat all year pretty much. If the Yankees make it to the DS, I guess I'd consider that a win, but after the way they were hyped, it's kind of a disappointment.
Here's what I'm gonna say. The Yankees pitching for the most part has let them down this year. They've had a couple people who should be hitting better who haven't been. That's been disappointing. But going to this time of season with Judge being out for so long now, he was activated this week. So I'm sure he'll, start to get into the groove of things. And so when we actually get to that play-in game, hopefully he'll be, in a groove and we'll get in. If we get in, I believe the Yankees are going to call up some of the young pitchers from their farm teams. And, we have the ability to close like no other team out there. We just have to get them in the position to get to the closers. And if we get them to the position to get to the closers, our closers will shut any team down. So I believe that when we hit the playoffs, it's going to be a different Yankees team that you've seen the last month and a half. And I believe that we're going to go pretty damn far.
I don't want to base, where the Yankees are going to go pretty damn far on, by the time the playoff game comes, maybe Aaron Judge will be here, but maybe not. But also rest my laurels on people who are, call up some AAA. I mean, really going to call up people from AAA and be like, oh, that's it. That's our ticket. They didn't play in a major league game yet. They were AAA pitchers. Now they're going to get us through the playoffs. Like, I don't see it. I get where you're coming from as an optimistic Yankees fan, but myself as a Yankees fan, I'm saying I don't see this team going past the divisional. I don't. I just, there's too many factors into it. Judge may be rusty. Yes, he was called up. He was activated this week, but he's only being allowed off the bench on defensive plays or runs. He's not being allowed to take any hits. So, I mean, that's kind of concerning considering his size and his power being his thing. So that's a little concerning. And then when he's finally able to start taking 5 hits in real games, it takes him a while to kind of heat up. And so we're going to be back to one strikeout or 2 strikeouts every game, Aaron Judge, while he tries to find the swing. At that point, there's only so many games left to play. So there's too many variables there. I would like to see them go pretty damn far. Realistically, I don't see that happening.
Well, I'm not saying I realistically see it happening. I'm just being optimistic.
Right, that's what I said.
Yeah, I know.
This is the Lewis that always predicts the Cowboys will win the Super Bowl, and then they go out and win 4 games.
Yeah.
Hey, when was the last time your team won a Super Bowl?
There he goes. You know what? It's the traditional Cowboys insult and the traditional Cowboys insulted response.
I'm just saying.
That's what Cowboys fans do.
No, you're absolutely right. And listen, I understand that the last time my team won a Super Bowl was 1995. I get it. Okay? But when a fan of a particular team wants to diss my team, I got to diss them back. That's just how it goes.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I would sit here and honestly tell you guys if I thought the Yankees would be able to win the World Series. I don't think that, I don't know. Like, I look at the Red Sox and I always think logically where I'm like, hey, they were really good. If the playoffs were in July, they probably would just sweep everybody. But now you look at it and you're like, well, I don't know if Chris Sale is healthy. Can they put it all together offensively? Because, when the offense is clicking, good luck. Good pitching be damned. You don't need good pitching if you can score 10 runs a game. But when it comes down to it, if they need to go out and, bases loaded in the bottom of the 8th inning, they have to get an out. I don't know if they have that guy right now because no one can step up. And when people step up, they just crap all over themselves. So, my thought is if Aaron Judge can come back and be effective for the Yankees, that's fantastic. And that'll probably help them a ton. But outside looking in, my thought is, selfishly, don't play him because my thought behind it is if he broke his wrist.
You want to win a World Series, that's fine.
Well, if he broke his wrist and he still can't swing the bat, it's been 7 or 8 weeks now, and he still has pain in his wrist when he swings. At some point in time, you got to think logistically and say, look, you're not healing.
It depends on which wrist he's having pain in.
Might be heavy dexterous.
Oh God! At some point in time, you have to say, "Look, your broken wrist still hurts when you swing the bat. You just got to shut him down because if
I can just see Ryan right now at the BLTD studios. Just anytime you and I interact, just like putting his hand on his head, shaking his head, but grinning because But I bet he's probably just like, oh my God, why did I even think by having these 2 assholes on my podcast?
No, I want you guys. I like having you guys together. I'd rather have you guys here, but I know that there's duty calls and our
anyway.
good friend of the podcast, Tommy Brewington is getting married today. So congratulations,
Tommy Brewington.
The only reason I said that is because I wanted you to throw that out there, John. But yes, congratulations to Tommy.
Yeah,
I know that.
Tommy, by the way, I was pre-gaming, so yeah.
Also, I was going to say, let me just get this out here really quick because I want to get John's response. But
what I do now?
A union of two of a man and a woman is a beautiful thing, and if it lasts for you, congratulations. It's certainly a work. It's something you got to work on. And
yes, Brian, I'm 0 for 1. I already came public with that.
Hey, I got to be honest with you, John. I'm loving your single life text messages. By the way,
are you?
I will not reference them on the air. They will stay behind closed doors. But your single life stories and text messages and trying to meet up with John during the week. Lewis, we can tell you off the air. I'll tell you in just a moment here. But yes, it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. But I can tell you're enjoying yourself.
I'm glad I could entertain you.
You're enjoying yourself. But hey, we'll wrap this up real quick because I got to go out.
I'm Flair, and these days, baby, I'm Ric Flair. Whoa!
You're gonna make a song about yourself and walk into your wedding to it.
Yeah, that's right.
By the way, did you guys see Undertaker double fist and whiskeys at his wedding? That man is
his Hawaiian shirt there, or it's a Hawaiian shirt. It looks like a Hawaiian shirt to me. I don't know. I was
he's a monster. But real quick, I want to just point out again, you can obviously subscribe. Best bet would be to subscribe on iTunes or Google Play or Spotify. It automatically lets you know when the podcast is up, when John gets it up. Then it'll be able to be listened to. You can follow John at the JC Money.
Wait, on 1 second, though. I'm sorry to interrupt you there. I want to make a formal note about the Sabercast one. Google Play is being a real stain right now. So for those of you, the Sabercast on Google Play might not hit until after the first episode is released. But rest assured it will be there. Google Play is just being stupid. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ryan. That's
okay. I appreciate that. Yeah, what we'll do is we'll just let them know when we put that out. But yeah, if you want to, like I said, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play. I don't know if are we still on iHeartRadio?
We're on iHeartRadio.
We're still on iHeartRadio. You can listen to Spreaker or BetterLiveThanDead.com. John is at the JC Money. Lewis is at MRLG Perez. I am at Wolfe BLTD on Twitter. As we always say, it's been a while, but hey, we are Better Life Than Dead.
You're not.
Woo! Stereo.
We'll catch you soon. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
Peace.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the GERE Network.